Hi everyone, I'm Jana and he's Ritesh. We are from the Money Roller. We are here today to discuss the event The Big Short. Now, why has the Money Roller built such an event? To understand this, you need to actually understand who we are. We are a boutique research house from Mumbai and we specialize in giving big short calls and identifying big short events. Now, what exactly is a big short? Ritesh?
Okay, the big short is an idea, or I'll explain you first of all what exactly is the short. If you go for a long situation, you identify that a price is going to go up or the asset class prices are going to go up, that is a long. Exactly opposite of that is a big short, where you identify a fall and you bet on that fall and you make money out of it. The big short is identifying a big fall or a huge fall in that particular asset class. Normal scenarios it is like 5 to 10% fall, but the big short is 25%, 30%, 50%, 60%. Ideally, that is what we call it as a big short.
So you are essentially talking about a fall which is uh, huge. It's like a bubble.
Gigantic in
Yeah,
nature.
it's like a bubble.
Right.
Yeah, essentially. So that is what we specialize in.
So here, like, I just wanted to talk you, like, we in recent event, Janak has also come up with this, the big short event, the Bitcoin fever, like we talked about. Bitcoin, we identified this big short. Janak, would you like to explain them? How did you come across this?
Yeah. So if you want to look at this chart, okay, this is a chart of the Bitcoin. You can see the meteoric rise of Bitcoin and then how it fell like a rock. Okay. So right around here, this is your $20,000 level, the magic figure which was put across in all the newspapers. Okay, and right around here, somewhere near the 18,000 levels, this is where we actually gave a call on our Facebook page and on our TradingView website that you should sell the Bitcoin. If you are holding Bitcoin, sell it. If you can short it, you short it. And subsequently, we also said that the first it would first go to 14,000 levels, and after 14,000 levels, we also added on to that by announcing that it might even fall below 10,000. And you can clearly see what has transpired after that.
Okay, so you would be wondering how on earth we came across a short like this. Okay, to give you some insights about that, there are three factors which we like to discuss over here. So the first factor is the fundamentals, the second one is technical, and the third is psychological. So fundamental factors. Chanak, like, would you like to explain what the fundamental factors were?
Yeah, sure. So the in Bitcoins, the three fundamental things went awry. When you talk about Bitcoin hash rate or the mining difficulty, Bitcoin hash rate went sky high. Why? Because we had Chinese people who set up a lot of mining facilities in China, where they put machines called ant miners. And basically, for those who don't understand what is an ant miner, it is a gigantic supercomputer which has very large processing power. You and I cannot afford it. A normal man cannot afford it. So essentially, what started off Bitcoin, where normal people could mine the Bitcoin, now we have large corporations mining it. So the mining cost of Bitcoin actually went up. Okay, that was your second factor. First factor was hash rate. Second is mining cost. Your third factor was actually the your transaction cost of Bitcoin. So yeah, thank you. So your Bitcoin transaction cost actually went up to $35 per transaction. Now this is very high from any angle. And when a lot of other cryptocurrencies came into line, we were having a lot of cryptocurrencies who were having lesser transactions and lesser transaction settlement rates. So whereas Bitcoin could settle one transaction in 9 minutes, we had several other cryptocurrencies which could actually settle several thousand transactions in 1 minute. So we had already gotten this information about other cryptocurrency and the fundamentals of Bitcoin going awry, and then we had The second trifecta.
The second trifecta is the technical indicator. So
Right.
here, like Janak, if you can explain them what were the reasons that you came across as a technical pointer.
Yeah, definitely. So out here, clearly, when we tried to, so when the fundamentals went ORI, we were trying to look for technical hints as to where is this thing going to stop, because it is shooting up. So here we clearly spotted a Elliott wave pattern of 5 waves, impulse waves going up. And this Elliott wave patterns and your momentum charts were going through the roof. And because of this is when we spotted this reversal at the end of the 5th wave. We thought that okay, this is the decisive reversal. But this wasn't sufficient because this had to be substantiated with psychological factors.
So the last but not the least one is the psychological factor. So to add on to the psychology, if you remember that point of time when Bitcoin was around 20,000, if you remember the euphoria that was surrounding around the Bitcoin, like we used to go for workshops, we used to go for projects, and we used to like not just for workshops, but even while walking on the road, if someone is known to us, like I remember one of my friend who was like, who never called me for 5 years, he all of a sudden called me and asked me, "Arey Bitcoin lu kya?" I was like, "Do you know what exactly a Bitcoin is?"
Yeah.
He had no idea.
No idea.
No idea. And that was the euphoria that was surrounding Bitcoin like this. And there was one more factor, like Janak, like the Zep Pay factor, like that.
That was insane. So what we saw then was that ZepPay, that is the portal which many people in India were using to buy Bitcoin. So we spoke to several students from several colleges where we were conducting these workshops, and all these students was, we have bought Bitcoin from ZepPay, and so that got us looking at ZepPay, and what the hell is this? And we saw that on ZepPay, the bid and ask rate of Bitcoin, was actually $4,000 a part. So whereas they were selling Bitcoin at $18,000, they were actually buying Bitcoin at $14,500. That's almost a $3,000 or $4,000 gap between the bid and ask price.
So if you talk about $4,000 difference, that is 3 lakhs, 2.5 to 3 lakh rupees. So
Yeah.
someone is paying 3 lakhs rupees extra to buy this Bitcoin.
Yeah, so you're already in a losing trade. But
Right.
the euphoria was such that all the students were buying it, everyone was buying it. And who would pay us 20% spread on an $80,000 thing? Who will actually pay a spread of $3,000? It's just
$3,000.
insane.
So-
So this was a very psychological and euphoric factor. And there's one more thing which is a food for thought for y'all. That is that just around this time, just around the December time is when the US markets allowed derivative trading in Bitcoin. Now just think for a second, why did they allow this? Now this is your classic trifecta which led to this.
Led to this.
And
now, like, we want you all to come across such a trade, the Big Short. Okay, we have kept it open for you, be it equities market, commodities market, currencies, bond, any trade. Even Janak, like, was specific, give me reality.
It can be real estate,
Real estate,
wine, it could be any
anything.
asset class,
But
but there has to be a legit bubble.
your research should back that factor that it is the Big Short, and give us facts about it and these trifactors. So all the best from our end. Hope you do your best to come up with the Big Short.
And see you there.